Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. And going to spend some time talking about Click, KLICK.com. Got Jay Goldman. He's managing director of Click Health. And we're delighted to have him on the program. You submitted an article to us recently, an interview article for us over at priceofbusiness.com. I liked it so much that I wanted to spend some time with you to learn more about how do your employees know you care. You have a big emphasis on employees at your company. Tell us a little bit about Click, and then talk to us about the company itself.
Sure. Thanks for having us.
About the employees, really rather. About your relationship with the employees themselves. Go right ahead.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So Click is the world's largest independent digital health agency, which means we work with biotech companies from their very earliest stage in clinical trials all the way through to their loss of patent exclusivity. We help them bring their products to market, shape the market for the products, and then build demand for them over time. And a lot of that means working with patients and with healthcare providers to make sure that they know the value of the treatments and that they can find what are often life-saving therapies for them. So very rewarding work. We get to work with a lot of therapies that make a very big difference in patients' lives.
Okay. Who are your clients? Obviously the patients ultimately, but you're not working directly with the patients, I'm sure.
Right, exactly. So we work with the biotech companies, the manufacturers, who are actually doing the research and development on compounds and turning them into drugs that they bring to market.
Yeah, okay. So let me ask you then about your company itself. Give me a profile of your employees. How old is the company? That type of thing.
Sure. We're 17 years old. We have operations across North America, headquartered in Toronto, but with people on the ground all across the U.S., and the vast, vast majority of our business is U.S.-focused. We're about 400 people. We do a little over $100 million a year in revenue across really the biotech industry as a whole. So everything, as I said, from clinical trials all the way through the development of marketing materials that actually come to market, the websites, the iPad apps, all that kind of stuff, strategy and everything else that goes along with it.
Okay, very good, very good. How many employees do you have?
About 400.
400, and those are not only in Canada, but around the United States as well. Are you outside of North America?
We focus on the North American market. Our people on the ground across the U.S. are close to our clients, so we put people in wherever there are hubs of biotech companies. We really focus on the client-facing people there, so we've got a lot of strategists, client service, business development across the U.S., and then the production side of our business, the actual development of assets and programming and coding and the graphics and everything that goes into building them happens in our headquarters in Toronto.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And you mentioned the type of companies. Kind of go into a little more detail, giving us a profile of who clients are for you.
Sure. Yeah, we are. We're a private company in that we're independently owned. We always have been. We're not part of one of the big networks. We're not part of one of the big agency networks or holding companies, and that's a big point of pride for us. And it actually ties a lot into the emphasis that we place in our employees, which is the conversation that started this conversation. It gives us the freedom to be able to make investment decisions wherever we think their importance is. And we'll sort of tell you a little bit more about that in a moment, about how that allows us to put emphasis on our people. But we work with a lot of companies in the biotech space that are kind of similar to our own. So in many ways, they're roughly the same size as us. They tend to have roughly the same sort of employee headcount. They are often small startup companies that are focused on growth, much like we are. And so there's a lot of similar cultural values between us and our clients, which really helps our teams to feel invested in the work that we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Kind of give us a size range of the companies you work with.
They can be emerging biotechs that are right at the earliest point, so they've just got FDA approval or are about to get FDA approval for their first drug. In many cases, biotechs are a bit strange compared to other industries in that they've often at that point spent a decade worth of time to get to that point of having that first drug approved. They may have spent a few $100 million on the research that's built them up to that point. They're now ready to go and launch, and in going to launch, they're going to add maybe 100 people to their headcount or 200 people to their headcount kind of overnight, and they're going to bring that product to market.
Yeah, very cool.
And that's sort of a strange growth curve compared to the rest of the world, where normally after 10 years, you would actually have had a product in the market and you would have grown quite a lot more. So a lot of our clients, when we start working with them, might be 50, 60 people, and overnight they're going to go up to 150.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. And that growth is just simply because of the nature of what they're involved in.
Right, yeah, they're going to add a whole commercial side to what was essentially a research and development business up to that point. So they're going to add salespeople and marketing people and all of the elements that go into commercialization.
Right, and so you said it's biotech is a typical client of yours. Kind of give us a feel for what those look like, specifically. Are they making products? Are they making products or meds? What are they doing?
They're making drugs. They're making drugs that often are in very difficult to treat diseases, or we work, for example, with quite a lot of oncology companies that are working on various types of cancer. They're working on therapies for those cancers. They will be often, as I said, at that sort of emerging point, so they're quite small. We do work with quite a few much larger biotechs who are maybe into their 10th or 11th or even 15th or 20th product, so they've much more established and have grown considerably over time. Something like a Genentech, for example, who kind of founded the biotech movement out in South San Francisco and have grown considerably over time since then. And then we work with a lot of smaller companies, somebody like Acorda Therapeutics, for example, in New York State, who have a product on the market and are starting to get ready for their next product launch.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, I appreciate the time today, learning more about you and your company. What's the best website for people to learn more?
You can go to click.com. That'll tell you all about our company, Click with a K. Or you can go to thedecodedcompany.com and learn more about the book that we published, which talks all about how we run Click and how we approach management and the importance that we put on our people. And it's a New York Times bestseller, so you should be able to find it in most bookstores as well. Thanks so much for being with us. When we come back, much more for you. I do want to remind you, best content here, including this interview, will show up over there at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. And this is The Price of Business.